being recorded.
All right, we are now recording. We're now recording, so welcome you all. Welcome to the epilogue. This is now the epilogue of, and I quote, the prophetical revelation of time and the correct Sabbath day. The correct Sabbath day. This is the epilogue of a 3-part series that we have already presented and recorded, and we published it on social media. The most popular network of social media is called YouTube, so that's now available for this entire planet to view. It's 3 parts. We're going to know that there's still a 3rd part that is coming, and there may be only 2 parts available now on YouTube, but the 3rd part is coming soon. We just ask you to just be a little bit more patient. But again, this is the testimony and the epilogue of the prophetical revelation of time and the correct Sabbath day. I am your host of this testimony. I'm known biblically as Micah the Morthite, the very soul. And as we get started, and also as we get ended, we end this. For the record's sake, today's day and date is known by 2 calendars, which is also the subject of this testimony that we've shared. 2 different calendars, a pair of balances, 2 different calendars. The solar calendar, which is always the first, and that calendar, the solar calendar, is what rules and governs the universe of time. The light of the sun, solar time. And according to that calendar, solar time, today is known as the 24th day of the 2nd month. The 24th day of the 2nd month of our solar year, 6027. And on the other scale, which is the lunar scale, the moon time, this world is now being governed by the moon, which means that then their day begins at midnight, 12 o'clock. But we are on the east coast of the United States of America. We are in the country that's known as the United States. We're on the east coast. And today's date and day is known as Thursday, Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. And looking at the clock on the wall, the hand on the wall, it looks like it's like 10 minutes to 2 o'clock in the p.m. That's 1:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. So once again, I repeat, this is the epilogue of, and I quote, the prophetical revelation of time and the correct Sabbath day. Now, this testimony, as I mentioned a moment ago, continues from last week's 3-part series that features the measure of time, quote, the measure of time. Now, we also suggest now that you grab hold to your King James Version Holy Bible as you did before. And that's the King James authorized, 1611 authorized edition of your Holy Bible, King James Version, along with its Strong's Exhaustive Concordance by James Strong. That concordance, that book, is supposed to have in its text every word, noun, adjective, pronouns, verbs that is found printed in the King James Version 1611 Bible. So you're going to need that. You may need a dictionary. If not, we'll share one with you. And most importantly, I'm asking again, as I always do, grab something to write with. Grab hold to a writing utensil. Write. Take notes. Grab a pad, a notepad, or grab something to write on the back of a junk mail or whatever you have. Jot down a few words and notes. And see, that way You take plenty of notes, you'll have something to study. You may, well, why is he asking to write down notes? Well, so you can study. And not only that, this last revelation is going to require you to write and then study what you write down afterwards. That's why, in part. In fact, when you do so, then this testimony is guaranteed. It also is going to turn you into a student of mathematics, if anything else. Mathematics. And so much until when you become erudite as a result of the upcoming celestial calculatory measure. This is going to be, as I introduced that word last week, a calculatory celestial measure of time. A celestial calculatory measure of time that is subjected as an appellation of geometry. So once that is completed and you do that successfully, then you will be handed a celestial guarantee, especially for you, reserved especially for you, that will then qualify you to receive and be rewarded with your own mathematician diploma of 90 degrees. That will then enable you to stand at 90 degrees perpendicular to the four corners of the square, which is the same as the four corners of the earth, which is a man. The four corners of the earth is the two ears, the two eyes of his head. The two ears, the two eyes of his head. They're standing on the two arms of his torso, as well as the two legs, the 2 feet. Four corners, two on each side. 2 times 2 is 4 of the earth. Now, with that said, let us make an extreme emphasis to you at this time. Remember, time, T-I-M-E, and that's all you see, T-I-M-E. Although I believe it was in part 2, we revealed it's not time, it's me. That's it. Me, that is it. And when you look in your strong concordance on the G, I believe G0586 or something like that, then you'll discover that in Greek, that it is himself. G846. Make a note of that. G846. In fact, I'll go to it, and I'm sure you're going to see it on your screen. That G846. And I'm going to quote it. G846. You thought it was time. No, that's 2 words. Backwards, that's me and it. G846. Just as you see it popping up on your screen right now. G846. And that should take you to a Greek word that's known as otos. Otos in Greek. Otos, and it means himself. Himself, herself, themselves, itself. See, it, itself. He, she, and it. In other words, I am it. Me. M-E-I-T. Me, it. Backwards is T-I-M-E, sideways, time. You didn't know that, but now you do. There never was a time. It was me. I was always it. Who? The sun. The sun is it to tell you the correct Sabbath time, the Sabbath day. You got that? It's prophetical. That was prophetical. It was also hidden in cryptic under the English symbols, T-I-M-E or M-E-I-T. But it's prophetical. This prophetical revelation of time in its conclusion on the Sabbath day that was stored in the celestial soul of the one celestial being who is biblically and theologically and who is historically known as the only begotten Son of the mighty God, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, who is also the God of the Hebrews, according to Exodus chapter 9, verse 1, that begins, "Thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews, let my people go." And of course, the only begotten Son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, according to John chapter 3 and verse 16, is the very same one of whom is symbolized by the Son of the universe, S-U-N, the Son of the universe, and its luminous light of the cosmos, even of the heavens. The only begotten Son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is the very same only begotten Son that was promised to return to the surface of this planet in the last days, in like manner as he went up into heaven. Now, that's according to the Acts in your Bible, Acts chapter 1 and verse 11. And then once he returned, he would then restore the true and correct time and its Sabbath day for and to the children of Israel, the children of Yehuda especially, and the children of Israel, all the other 11 tribes, to follow and obey. Keeping in mind that we hope you do, that we spoke of the very same one special being, who is also the one who is responsible for sealing up a pair of balances in his hand. And of course, during this part three series, during part 2, you haven't seen part 3 yet, but it's in there. We promise you that. But during this part 3 series, we reveal that this hand in English, spelled from left to right, H-A-N-D. In the English's idiom, that word came from the original Hebrew word known as yod. Yod Dalet, yod. It is also spelled from left to right, Y-A-D, Y-A-D, yod, which is Hebrew, although spelled in English is Y-A-D. However, and in Hebraic, this yod, Y-A-D, yod, Y-A-D is spelled with Yod Dalet. When it's spelled from right to left with Yod Dalet, right? From right to left, Yod Dalet, from right to left, Yod Dalet. Then this Yod Dalet is also spelled in English from left to right as D-A-Y. That English spelling that produces that word known again, D-A-Y, from left to right, day. And we also concluded that this truth is found in the Strong's Concordance under reference H3027, H3027, that has since been transliterated into their English's word that's known today as hand. H-A-N-D. H-A-N-D. Hand. And this hand, H-A-N-D, or yod, Yod Dalet, right? Yod Alpha Dalet, that's 3, Yod Alpha Dalet, from right to left, Yod Alpha Dalet, yod, Yod Alpha Dalet. It's spelled backwards. When it's spelled backward, it produces, again, these days, in particular in plural, days, that are also prophetical and are of the same time, T-I-M-E, which is be it. And that will explain why both my father and myself are known as the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days, the Ancient of Yod, Wav, Dalet, Yod, Wav, Dalet. Yod, Wav, Yod, you got Yod, see it's Yod Alpha Dalet, Yod, Wav, Dalet. The Greeks and the Jews came along and wanted to change that. But I'm here to set the record straight. So I speak on both scales. Yod Alpha Dalet, Yod Wav Dalet. I speak to both groups. They didn't know. Why? They didn't know the days. They didn't know what day or what hour it come. Anyway, they're all prophetical and are of time that were given into his hand. Just as it reads in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. But the thing is, you don't know who his is. We never revealed who HIS is. HIS is the same as it. Of time. Don't you see time all in that verse? And times. Even times means there's two its. Nor is the two witnesses. But it's the same hand which says, and I quote, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. In case you want to go there with me. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, if you get your Bible, it says, and I quote, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. Dividing, two different scales. Solar, lunar, dividing of time. Dividing of it, dividing of two its, two witnesses. One known as Micah and one known as the only begotten Son. Two times in his hand. Now, in this epilogue with that reveal, let me point out to you that this hand in English is the very same hand that not only smote the ram, RAM, that we revealed in part 1, that was conjoined at one time with the I, that's now missing, and that was moved with extreme choler. Remember choler? CHOLER, choler. That means to show bitterness, according to Strong's H4843 that we revealed, part 1, part 2. But this ram, RAM, along with its I, EYE, I, one person, one, is the very same I that was revealed in Exodus chapter 29 and verses 19 and 20. However, verse 19, that reads, and I quote, verse 19, Exodus chapter 29 and verse 19, it reads, and I quote, and thou shalt take the other ram. Thou shalt take the other ram. See, there's another ram. Thou shalt take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. See, end quote. Aaron and his sons of yesterday, they're not here now. They're not here today. So therefore, because they're not here, then that means the hands in plural of this verse is now down to only one hand. One hand. And that hand is also this hand. This hand. See, this is the hand of today. This hand. See how big it is? That hand? It measures from the thumb to the pinky at 9 measures. This is the same hand that's found in Isaiah chapter 40. Measure the span of the hand. And you measure it from the thumb, the tip of the thumb to the pinky. When it's spread it's 9 inches. Come to me and I'll show you. Bring your ruler with you. I have one, but bring your ruler, your measuring tape with you, and I'll show you. Speak the truth. So that hand today that was preserved is preserved for this count of this testimony in Revelation. This count of a moral measure as a moral measure. There's also being empowered with a thumb, a right thumb of the same hand. Thumb. Which was also sealed in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. But you couldn't see it. Got that? In other words, this is the same hand, HAND, as being seen today on social media by the king of this land, opposed to Babylon or Egypt, also known as Pharaoh, that king. See, this king of this land is also known biblically as Pharaoh, also known as a president, who is now looking at this hand that rules the ram, the other ram, his ram, but now I have another ram. See, his ram is an English ram, but my ram is a ram of the scales of Hebrew and celestial. That means my ram can be converted into something else that I'm about to reveal to this whole planet in a moment that you never saw. Prophetical. But now the old ram, see that ram, this old ram must be killed. I said the old ram of the old king must be killed. Why? You should have, why? Why are you gonna kill it? Because the old ram is all that is left from the right. The old ram is always left. It's what's left, L-E-F-T. The other ram. So you have two rams, one that's left and one that's right. It's like dividing the sheep from the goat. Got it? Yeah. This means when the old ram is killed, then the right lamb that's of the right thumb will rule forever. I said, I repeat, when the old ram is killed, then the right lamb that of the right hand, the right thumb, will rule forever. Yeah, see, you realize how I changed it from ram to lamb? I don't know if you're paying attention. You got to pay attention. See, although in both, in the ram, you have R-A-M. Right? Yeah. And lamb, you have the L and the B on the end, but am is still in the middle. I am. See, I am that I am. I am that I am, and I am the R-A-M, and I am the L-A-M-B of Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. That is of the right thumb that will rule forever. And that right thumb is mine right thumb. That's mine right thumb. Now read the next verse of Exodus chapter 29, which reads, this is verse 20. And that reads, I quote, then shalt thou kill the ram. See, I'm not being evil and wicked, mean. It's in the Bible. Then shalt thou kill the ram and take of his blood and put it upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, so they can hear it. They got to hear it's right. They're no longer involved now. They got to hear with the right ear, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and of the great toe of their right foot, and sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. That's hidden in Revelation chapter 11. That's the same altar. Why am I doing that? Because they got to know now it's right. That's all was left. It's no longer left. Now it's got to be right. I repeat, this hand of Exodus chapter 29, verses 19 and 20 is the root of Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. That's where it comes from. Keeping in mind that this hand also has 4 fingers. this hand has 4 fingers, and you're not paying attention in lessons or parts 1 and 2. I mentioned in parts 1 and 2 that this hand had 5 fingers. Not so. There's not one hand on this planet that has 5 fingers. Not human, maybe robot. Every hand that my art made, every hand has 4 fingers times 2. That's 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. So this hand that also has 4 fingers and 1 thumb, which is the right thumb. And it is the right thumb that is attached to this cryptic and codex revelation. The same right thumb who wrote with the same hand that took 1 hour that came forth with those 4 fingers of this man's hand, and who wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, even as I visited the king's palace in 2022, known as the White House of the United States. And I wrote, and they couldn't see me writing. I was writing right on the plaster of the wall. They couldn't see me. I walked right through it, and they saw it's right. It's on film. And the king of that land was there. You saw it. It's there now. However, see, although the king was there, the king of this land only saw and can only see part of the hand that wrote during that time. According to Daniel chapter 5 and verse 5. You can read that. I just read it's there. I quoted it. I just quoted that chapter and verse of Daniel. Chapter 5, read it on your own. But what I ask you now is to please note that this verse only mentions the hand, H-A-N-D, and not the thumb, T-H-U-M-B, of the hand. You got it? It only mentioned the hand, H-A-N-D. It did not mention the T-H-U-M-B, the thumb of the hand. You should want to know why. Why is it that that verse, that prophetic crypto, only mentioned the hand and not the thumb? Well, because the thumb, T-H-U-M-B, belonged to the one who was also promised to return at the last day, D-A-Y, to kill the ram, R-A-M. That's why. And the only way that can happen is with the power of his arm, A-R-M, and not the thumb, T-H-U-M-B. Why? Because a thumb depends on the arm. The arm does not depend on the thumb. Without the arm, there is no thumb. But without the thumb, there'll still be an arm. In fact, a thumb is just a thumb times 2. A thumb is just a thumb times 2, of which both can become dumb, D-U-M-B, without true holiness. And that's without the T and the H. True holiness. Got that? Now, this is proven in Strong's Concordance H931. H931 for thumb. And that records Bohan. Bohan. Spelled from right to left. Beth, Hey, No, Sophie. And along with its own great big toe that are always together. Always use or both together. That's what that means. Go look in your concordance. Again, that's under Strong's H931. You'll find it just like that. Along with its own great big toe that are always used or both together. In other words, the thumb and the ram were hidden in prophecy to bring about the power of time. So it's the thumb that was hidden and hiding the ram. But that's not strong enough to kill the ram. See, there is another component of the body that must kill the ram, R-A-M. And that terrestrial killing must be performed by the strength and by the power of his arm, A-R-M, which is hidden in the noun ram itself. But it's hidden sideways as an A-R-M. Now you can take the R-A-M for ram, take the R-A-M for ram, and just put switch the A and the R around. And now you have the arm that was hidden in Isaiah chapter 40, along with the hand. Beginning at verse 10. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 10, as I quote, "Behold, the Lord God will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. The arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his works before him." Verse 11, "He shall feed his flock like a shepherd is doing right now on live stream, it's recording. He shall gather the lambs." Now you have more than one lamb. If you take the A out of the lambs and put an I, now you got the limbs of the lamb. The Lord, known as his people, his sheep, his lambs, along with his arm. See it right here? His arm. And carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Verse 12, "Who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with a span, and comprehended it, the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance?" Who did that? Verse 13, "Who had directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor has taught him?" Who taught him that? You may be looking at this video now, this recording, and say, "I wonder who taught him that." Who taught him? "With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him to do this, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding of the thumb and the arm and the ram." Who taught him this? Verse 15, "Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and I counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the hours of a very little thing." That means nothing to him. And it is his arm, A-R-M, that will complete the measure of the count, of his count, of the count that was hidden in the court, C-O-U-R-T, of his celestial measure, of his count, C-O-U-N-T. That means what? This arm was taken from the Hebrew word known as kalah. Kalah, spelled from right to left, Keth, Lamet, Sadosophi. Sadosophi. And it means to remove, to draw out, to draw of, to draw off, to take away, to be equipped with, even an arm for war, to rescue, to be rescued, to be equipped for, and to be armed, to be equipped, and to make strong, and to brace up, and to invigorate, and to draw off, and to withdraw. And you can find this, you can call it a reference, Strong's H2502. H2502. Now come go with me and look at Micah chapter 6 as we reiterate from the first two parts. There's two different measures of count. Micah chapter 6, verses 10 and 11. And that reads, as I quote verse 10, "Are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked? and the sket measure that is abominable? Shall I, one, count them pure with the wicked balances and with the bag of deceitful weights? Not with the right, not with the left, and not with a weak arm and thumb. Not with the left thumb, neither with the right. Both are done. So who are those, the wicked balances? Who are those, the wicked balances with the bag of deceitful weights? Who are they? You should be asking the question. Well, here's the answer. They are those with the left hand, H-A-N-D, they're the left hand, the wicked ones that are known as the Gentiles. Those are the left. And it is their ram of measure that this whole world only knows today, that is known to have been created by the arm of the dragon, that must be destroyed by the arm of the Lord. The great dragon. Now in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, the great dragon. I mean, the great dragon, the arm of the great dragon must be destroyed by the arm of the Lord with power. Now take a look at Isaiah chapter 51 as I read verse 9. Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 9. See, the first thing you must do is, I quote, awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake, as in the ancient of days, in the generations of old. I just told you that. Art thou not it that hath cut Rahab and wounded the dragon? End quote. I'm wounding the dragon right now. But that's not the question. The question truly is, do you believe this report and revelation of the arm, A-R-M, of the Lord that was hidden in the ram, R-A-M, of Aaron and his sons? Now look at Isaiah chapter 53, and let's see if we can answer in verses 1 through 7. Isaiah chapter 53, as I begin reading from verse 1. And that reads, who hath believed our report? Now that we are concluding parts 1, 2, and 3, this is the epilogue. So the question is, who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? Those of you who are watching right now, this planet, as I now reveal the arm of the Lord to you right now today, 6,027 in the last days. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, as I did in the temple of love, right here in Miami, Florida, and as a root of David out of dry ground. In fact, some say he had no form, nor comeliness. And when we shall see him as you did, there is no beauty that we should desire him. And they did not. Nobody wants Micah. Verse 3, he is despised and rejected of men, as I am doing now. They're doing the same thing. This is real, ladies and gentlemen. This is true. A man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him, and they did, even from Facebook. He was despised at one time. He was despised, but now I have to listen to him. And we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, as they thought he kicked him out the temple. No, he put me in the wilderness and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, even in April of 1985. He was bruised for our iniquities, with a strap, a switch, a rod. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes, we are healed. 40 stripes with a tree branch, 1985. All we like sheep have gone astray, and you have. That means this next Wednesday. Wednesday will make 17 years since 2007, May 7th. That actually next Tuesday. Tuesday, May 7th. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. will make 17 years since my arm took that vessel, cremated and ascended for the final time. Again, verse 6 says, all we like sheep have gone astray since then. We have turned away everyone. We have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord had laid him on the iniquity of us all, and he did. He was oppressed in verse 7, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, with the th removed, and now the d added to the umb for dumb. So he opened not his mouth until it was time. End quote. Now go to Revelation chapter 11 as we close this epilogue in this 3-part series of the correct Sabbath day of time and days and its law. Also in care of the 6,000 years that was allotted to Cain as a challenge to Cain to prove that he was qualified to rule his own world. And he could not. Why? He failed. So go to Revelation chapter 11 as I read verses 1 and 2 as we close. Revelation chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. And that reads, and I quote, verse 1, and there was given me a reed, R-E-E-D. That's with the E opposed to the A. With the A. Why? Because A ascended. And when I reveal this, A would have ascended. My father, my Ab is A. As in R-E-A-D. So you have R-E-E-D. Like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, rise, you people, all of you, rise, rise, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. So rise. And when you do, in verse 2, but the court, C-O-U-R-T, sealed with the R added for the rulership of Cain, opposed to the N as in the son of Nun, that would then be spelled C-O-U-N-T. There never was a court. As long as Cain was ruling, it was an R for rulership of Cain. But now that I've come back to remove the R of Cain, I put back in the N as in the son of Nun. Why? Because the Gentiles would be in court and judgment in the last days and not be added to the count, C-O-U-N-T. I leave them out. You should want to know. You should want to know as you were reading that. Why would it be leave them out of the court? What court? It's not court. It's count. Never was a court. They won't be counted. Don't you see how the verse 2 now goes for verse 1? In verse 1, I said measure and count. Why can't you continue in verse 2? How come all of a sudden you go to court? The court is for the Gentiles. Leave them out the count. See? Here it is. Which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not. For it is given to the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. End quote. Thank you for your valuable time. Do this part 3 series. Now the epilogue of our quote again, the prophetical revelation of time and the correct Sabbath day. So thank you for joining me. And I say now, Shalom Aleichem to my people, only my people of Judah. Shalom Aleichem.